Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I'd love to share a story if I can.
Please, please.
We've just been referred a fairly good sized client with a very complicated estate problem,
Mm,
and they had just got a new accountant. They had just secured a lawyer who said, "So tell me about your will." And they didn't have one. And they're like, okay, well, what does the will need to do? And what does it need to say? Well, the more they opened it up, the more confusing it got because
mm,
the structure of the client was such that they had started this company 20, 25 years ago, and then they added something else and added something else.
mm.
And before you know it, they had 6 or 7 different businesses with 6 or 7 partners, with six or
Yeah.
seven business structures, with 6 or 7 tax problems.
Mm,
And the reason why is because they never had the advice going into it. They were just they were reacting. They were doing what they thought was necessary at the time, which is fine. But so now the situation, then when it came to me it was referred from another client of mine, who's one of the partners in one of their 2 of their businesses, said, "These guys have got some issues. Can you help them kind of solve this issue?" Sure, we'll take a look at it. So what I did is I kind of drew an org chart out as they were explaining it to me, and I'm like, wow, this is going on 3 pages of notes here. And then I said, what the next step is to have a conversation with your lawyer and a conversation with your tax professional, your CPA. And then what we will do is we will create some recommendations. I'm not the kind of advisor that says, okay, well, if you've got this problem, let's solve it with X. No, we've got to have a consultative approach. So I went back to their CPA, went back to the lawyer, said, here's some things that I've been looking at with this client. Here's some things I'm thinking about. Can we pull all 3 of us together into a room or a Zoom and just have this discussion? The number one problem I see, to answer your question, is that most clients are hiring piecemeal when they can hire an advisory board for the same price that they would do it piecemeal. And when you have the level of collaboration at the advisor level, who acts as an advisory board or a sounding board to help guide and direct from the 3 main areas, finance and financial planning, law and tax, when you have those 3 cohesive people working together, not for their interest, but for the interest of the client, now the client is going to be really well served. So here's the outcome of that situation in this particular example. We're doing a complete reorganization. The lawyer's got some responsibilities. The accountant has some responsibilities. We are going to execute an insurance contract for them to help accumulate their retained earnings. They don't need to take it all in salary, but they do want to make some future business investments. They are looking at putting some life insurance in place, and they are looking for a sophisticated retirement plan to be able to handle it all. So we've got a trust and some corporations that we're going to reorganize some of the shares into. We're going to defer all the tax on the transaction until such time as either the trust rolls over or they sell the shares. So it's a win-win-win for the client because they get a better tax outcome. Their will is now simplified, and they're going to be able to put that in place. They're going to have a tax plan in place, vetted through their CPA, and the insurance contract. All 3 advisors are not necessarily participating in the implementation of that, but they're all providing feedback into the client to say this is why this makes sense. So I think that business owners are suffering because they're trying to be the expert. So they'll
Yeah.
sit down with their lawyer and said, well, this is what needs to happen. I'll go to my accountant and tell my accountant, well, why don't you just get the lawyer and the accountant to talk to each other? Well,
Yeah.
because it's billable hours. Well, you're
Yeah.
shooting yourself in the foot in order to win the race, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to see long term if you're looking at short term expenses or short term costs.